So this week we watched The Walking Dead season 1.
Yes.
We enjoyed it. We thought it was good. She also read the comic.
Yes.
You can stare at the camera too. You're just looking at me staring darts. Okay, so from your best of your recollection in the first season of The Walking Dead, what happened? And by that I mean nothing happened. Oh my god. But what happened? If you wanna start us, Mrs. Comic Knower and Enjoyer.
You want the comic or you want the
I think we start with
show?
the show since this is mostly about the show. Since I only watch the show.
Okay. Um.
So Rick wakes up from a coma.
But that's after the setup.
Oh, okay. Then go to the setup. What happens?
It's just setup.
They don't know that. They are
I
watching.
know. But I don't know what to say.
Got this. Feel your heart. Feel your heart. Believe.
No.
Okay, so we what? No, it does he wake? He's walking down. He's walking between a bunch of cars, and then he sees a little girl. He's like, "A little
Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
let me help you." And then she's a zombie, and she's like, "I'm a zombie," right?
Yeah.
That's the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we cut back to before, and we see him being like, "My bitch wife."
Yeah.
Yeah, with Shane. Shane the worst. Hate him.
Yeah.
Worst character.
Have to set up their misogyny first.
Yeah, well, it was, he was actually being not misogynistic for the
Yeah.
time. He was like, actually, I don't hate my wife because she's a woman. I hate her because she was mean to me in front of my son.
Facts.
Yeah, that's why I'm valid. Okay. And then, we go, they're chasing down a guy who did a crime, allegedly. Yeah. He gets shot once. Fake out. Gets shot again. It's real.
Yep.
Okay, and then what happens?
And then he wakes up.
And he wakes up?
Yeah.
Things are good? Things are good when he wakes
No,
up?
things are no good.
Things are no good when he wakes up.
Yeah.
Okay. No good how? Would you say?
Nothing. No lights.
Okay.
Everything's no good. He leave. There be no people.
No people. In the hospital. That's not good.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what? He gets out. It says dead inside, don't open, but it actually says dead open, don't inside.
Yeah.
Which
Love
is
that.
equally valid. And then he walks around. He's a little idiot. He's very cop coded.
Yeah. He's trying to find his house.
He's trying to find his house. Yeah, he does. And then he gets hit in the back of the head with a shovel by Duane. It's spelled Duane. I don't like it. I apologize to any Duanes out there.
Yeah, and Morgan, who
And
is
Morgan.
staying in his neighbor's house.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's plot relevant in the show, but it's mentioned in the comics.
It's mentioned in the show.
Okay.
He says, I know who lived here. It was the barber, and I don't remember the name.
Oh.
But yeah. And then he's like, not anymore.
That
That was before the world went to shit. Okay, and then Morgan kind of fills him in, and he's like, "You've been bit."
Yeah.
He was talking
about his gunshot wound.
Yeah. And then he's like, the dead are walking. It's crazy. We don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Wildness is happening right now. Okay. And then Rick's like, I gotta find my family. I bet they're in Atlanta for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. He talks like that. Anytime I make that voice, I'm pretending to be Rick because I find his voice to be very funny because Andrew Lincoln is English.
Yeah.
From the England. And he just really goes heavy. Not as much in this season. It's not as good.
Have it yet.
Yeah, but you see traces where he's like, wow. All right. So then that's basically episode 1.
No.
No. Okay.
Episode 1's really long.
Is it?
Yeah.
He finds a horse and then he rides in.
Well, yeah, but you missed all of the stuff where they go to the police station. He gives
True.
Morgan a car. They leave. They separate. He runs out of gas.
Yeah.
He finds that family.
Yeah. all true.
and the horse.
Yeah.
And then he leaves to Atlanta.
Yeah.
He gets there, but it's overrun.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh wait, does episode 1 end with him getting into the?
Yeah.
Oh.
In the tank,
Into
yeah.
a tank. Yeah. There's a tank in the streets. It's like real Atlanta.
um,
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for adding all that nuance. We also skipped the Morgan's wife. How his wife turned into a walker and then he didn't shoot her, but
Yeah.
we don't know if he did or didn't shoot her. But he doesn't, and she kills his son. Eventually. Spoilers. Spoilers, by the way, obviously. Duh. You're watching a season 1 podcast. You'd be stupid to expect not spoilers.
yeah.
Okay, so that's episode 1. And then also on the walkie, he calls in and talks
Glenn
to...
talks to him.
Yeah. And then back at the home base, what do we see Shane at that point? Shane and Lori?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're set up in the mountains.
Maybe Dale. Dale might be there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of just the group.
It's the gang.
But Shane
it's the
talks
crew.
to him.
Yeah. Well,
Or
I don't
tries
think
to reach him,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he
yeah.
doesn't hear him.
it's our reveal that his family is alive. He's not crazy. He's not wild, and for that one. Okay, and then him and Glenn gets him out. He talks him how to get out. He shoots a bullet in the tank and like goes deaf temporarily.
Yeah, because there's a walker in there.
Yeah. He gets out. He makes it. He drops his bag of guns and his hat.
Yeah.
So I don't even know who he is anymore. Look,
Yeah.
if he doesn't have a gun and a hat, who is he?
Mm.
A menace.
Can I just say right here, like, the comic is completely the same at this point? Almost.
Yes, you
like,
can't say that.
almost
Thank you.
Exactly the same, except for
Mhm.
the fact that Morgan's wife is not plot point.
Oh, okay.
Really? No, he mentions that she died of the fever,
Mm.
and that's how you turn. But I think he killed her then.
Like a Chad.
Yeah.
Like
then
a
it's
king.
just
Yeah.
not really an issue. And then also that when the horse gets taken down, Rick doesn't go into the tank.
Because he's smart. And how the fuck are you gonna
Yeah,
get
and
out?
he doesn't drop the bag of guns either.
Oh wow.
Like Glenn just grabs him and they leave.
So Glenn's like even better in the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
to
then
know.
there's not the whole group in Atlanta. It's just Glenn.
I think we should probably get through the like. Those are the important differences. But I was like, if we start getting ahead on the comics, it's gonna be confusing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very true.
Okay. So Glenn gets him out. They rejoin up. Merle. We meet Merle. Andrea. T-Dog.
I think Jackie's there.
Jackie's there for sure.
Um,
Glenn, who we already mentioned.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh no, Morales is also there.
Oh yeah. Because they're so happy when he comes back. He doesn't do anything though. For the record, that's why we almost forgot him.
No.
He's literally the most half a character that's ever existed. Exists purely for other people to reflect on. For 2 episodes. Okay, and then Merle being racist, hate him.
Yeah. Danger to the group.
Danger to the group for sure. We're team Merle deserved to be on that roof and handcuffed. Gets handcuffed. Rick's like, not on my watch. I'm a cop. Handcuffs him to a pipe,
Yeah.
a stray pipe on the top of the roof of this building. And then T-Dog has the key.
Yeah, and he's waiting with them.
Yeah.
While they go and do whatever they do.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they're doing.
Well, they're trying to find a way out because there's walkers surrounding the building.
Oh yeah.
Because they were loud,
Yeah, because Rick shot the gun
like an idiot.
a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
And then they run. They go down. Is it?
They check the sewers.
Yeah.
Because Jackie says that they could.
She was a teller or something.
Yeah. That she could do that. That could be a way out, but then they
Mhm.
find bars and they can't get through.
Yeah. How do you think that? Glenn lures him away. He singles out and
Yeah,
drives
but
a really loud car, right?
Yeah, but they do the guts thing.
Oh yeah.
Rick and Glenn do,
yeah.
and then it starts raining.
Yeah, and then they almost get got.
Yeah, but I think they get into like a van or something. Because I know Rick goes back and gets them, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
group. And then yeah, Glenn does lure them with the sport car
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Do you? By the way, future spoilers. Do you think that low key is why the horde came a little bit? Like maybe they heard the car and just that was the new direction.
Could be.
Yeah. Random speculation with no answers ever in sight. Okay, so that happened, and then we just they got to go back for the guns after they get back to the camp.
And they
Everybody's
have to
really
tell
happy Rick's
Daryl.
alive. They have to tell Daryl that they left Merle on the roof.
Yeah, and T-Dog also lost the key
He dropped it into a pipe
when he was running to go back.
accidentally, but
Meet up with them.
it should have been malicious. I think it would have been better characterization if he was like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
But he was like, it was a comedic, like,
Yeah. Craziest fall.
one in
into-
1,000 trip.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, it bounced. The key bounced multiple times to land in there. It was like impossibly done.
Yeah.
Okay, so that happens, and then yeah, it's just
But he locks the door because
he does.
T-Dog's a sweetie.
Yeah, we don't even know.
Even though he didn't need to do that.
Yeah, and then
Should have just let Merle get eaten.
yeah, happens eventually. Merle prays to God, and then he's like, "Oh wait, actually, there's a way out. Fuck you, God." And in that moment, I was like, you know what? I kind of like Merle a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a little too real.
Yeah, he's like, please, I'll never do anything wrong again in my life.
Actually, I have a way to save myself. Fuck you.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I don't give a fuck anymore. Okay, and then yeah, we meet at camp. Lori and Carl are super happy. Lori's kind of mad at Shane because he
Yeah.
lied and said that Rick was dead, and so they've been fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what? We kind of meet everybody, get group dynamics.
Yeah. Introduce everybody.
Yeah, we meet
Um,
Dale. We meet
Andrew,
Morales'
Amy.
family, Andre, Amy. I mean, we already said Daryl.
Yeah. Well, he comes a little later.
Yeah, like an episode later.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of just vibing.
Yeah. It's kind of just showing the camp what they're doing.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit personalities of people.
Did we get the Amy Andrea fishing scene yet, or was that? Oh, we meet Carol. We skip Carol and her dirtbag husband.
Yeah. Whatever his name is.
Yeah. Ed. Yeah.
Sophia.
Yeah.
Um.
Rip.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that. That's it. This is kind of where it becomes boring again.
Yeah.
No offense to the show. Medium offense to the show. It really slows down and you're just like, I get
What
that
is
this
happening?
this is important, but it's important tangentially. Like there's no action. There's no interesting things going on. It's just, hey, here's all the characters and what they're doing now in the post-apocalypse, and it's really not that different at all.
Yeah.
Like it's set up that feels like it doesn't get paid off, in my opinion. Okay. And then they're like, we gotta go back for the guns and for Merle.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they go back for the guns and for Merle. And Shane's like, no, we shouldn't. We'll be weak.
Yeah.
And then Rick's like, yeah, but we'll be stronger with guns. And then Shane's like, I guess. And then he's like, maybe my problem will solve itself. Rick, keep making risky decisions here. And then what? They go back. They get the guns. Glenn gets kidnapped by this, what seems like Mexican gang cartel.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Wow. Yeah. And Rick gets his hat too.
Yeah.
We're saying this because it's not actually relevant at all. Daryl, they find out that Merle cuts his hand off and stole their van, which they needed to put in for the RV. They needed to get a radiator.
Yeah.
The radiator hose, yeah.
Or something.
No, you were right. It was the hose, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking, like, that's oddly specific. Okay, and then they come back. They get Glenn back. They give them some of the guns. They take most of the guns. This is, I think, the fishing scene. Ed gets his ass beat.
Yeah,
moments. Yeah. So and then they have a weird scene where it's Amy and Andrea are like, "Oh, we went fishing." It's not Andrea, it's Andrea.
Yeah.
I gotta connect my
They
own
both were taught by their
different ways
dad.
to fish. Good for them. It's character building, but it's not meaningful.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean like, oh, Amy's too weak for this world. It's kind of whatever.
Mm.
And then there's a huge horde that pops up and gets them. And
Yeah.
at the same time that Rick and Glenn and Daryl and T-Dog all come back with the guns. And then they shoot him.
Yeah.
It's really loud. And then they get into their cars and drive away? Or do they kind of just kill all the zombies? I think they kill all the zombies and then they just chill.
Yeah, they killed them all because, well, Amy dies.
Amy dies. One dead.
Jim
Ed
gets
dies.
bit. Ed dies, yeah.
Jim gets bit. He's been being weird anyways. He was slightly prophetic.
Yeah.
Digging graves. That was another thing going on.
He gets bit. He decides. Well, I guess they all decide to leave, and then that's when he decides that he just wants to be left behind.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, then they're like, we got to go to the medical, to the CDC for Jim, and then he dies anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they get got, and I was like, how did this not happen sooner? Like,
Yeah.
how you were protected by nothing. You didn't have a perimeter. You had no one keeping guard.
Yeah.
Just this should have happened way sooner.
Well, I mean, Dale was kind of always on lookout.
He was on lookout, but like not all the time. And he's a little man.
Yeah.
He gotta sleep. He'll be up real early, but he goes to bed at 7:30.
Yeah.
Every night.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and then they go to the CDC. There's a debate between Rick and Shane where it's like, we should go to the military base, and then Rick's like, we should go to the CDC. They might have a cure.
Yeah.
And then they go to the CDC.
Closer.
And it's closer. The military base is like 100 miles. The CDC is like 30. They go to the CDC. It looks abandoned. There's a bunch of walkers. They're like, we are going to die. And then they get let in. And then they find out we are fucked. The CDC is going to explode with a subnuclear explosion. And the guy who's in there, Jenner, was like, I guess this is better than being eaten. So I guess you'll just die with me.
Yeah.
And then they all get super fucking drunk. Good for them. They let Carl drink a little bit, and he goes, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. Shane, like, assaults Lori and cements himself as, like, the worst. And then Jenner tells them all, like, yeah, this is going to blow up. You're all fucked. And you can't even get outside. The front doors are locked now.
Yeah.
Which, messed up. Should have told them beforehand. They get the one day of niceness, and then they can still leave. Yeah. Jackie and Andrea want to die. And they're like...
Yeah, they decide to stay.
Oh, yeah, and Morales is left at this point. He said, I'm just going to go a different way. I'm not going to go to the CDC.
With you guys, yeah.
So he drives away.
Him and his family.
Yeah.
But then Dale at the last minute tells Andrea that she needs to come. Well, actually, he guilt trips her because he stays and says that he's going to die with her.
Yeah, he says,
doesn't go.
How dare you make me care about you and living? I'm going to die with you, jerk. And then she's like, you old piece of shit.
Yeah.
Hate you.
Um.
And then they escape. And then Jenner tells Rick something, but he doesn't. No, we don't know yet. Yeah. And that's the plot for season 1. That is like very much so just the plot, not the vibes. And so we will probably be going into the vibes now. I will say on my end, a slog.
Yeah.
There were points in which I was like, this is just a 1-to-1 retelling of exactly what happened. Like, there's no editing. There was nothing. Like, we are just watching the most boring thing ever. I'm watching a day of somebody's life, and it's not entertaining or interesting. It's a slog, yeah. I stand by that statement. Do you have any thoughts, opinions on the slogginess?
Mm-mm.
Also a slog? You're from Florida. You used to swamps. Do you think it was swampy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Swamped. Okay. I think the directing was good. I like the directing. I like the cinematography.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, did you want to go into kind of like the major plot differences? You don't have to recap like all of the plot from the comics, but you can just say like, here's where it was different.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of some of the bigger differences.
Well, you said last time we were at Glenn and the Guns.
Yeah. So once they make it back to the camp, they already had those guns, so they don't really need the plot point of going back for the guns.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the decision that Rick makes that everybody should have one to be safe, like even including Carl. So they
baby
have
Carl,
to go
his
back.
son, his young son.
Yeah,
I'm not
he's
sure
7 years old, confirmed in the comics. Just crazy.
Also, Daryl doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, no.
Is Merle exist?
No.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's crazy. Best and worst characters made for the show.
So they do have to go back to Atlanta to get guns. And that's when they do like the gut scene on the way there, because they know that where they're going is going to have a lot of zombies.
Walkers.
Which is what
they never say zombies. They call them walkers.
In the show.
Yeah. And the comics.
No.
What do they call them in the comics? Biters?
Zombies.
What?
Yeah.
That really actually shakes everything I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Is it for like trademark reasons that they couldn't do in the show?
I don't know. I think they wanted it for
I guess we should go into favorite zombie names.
Like
mine is Geeks. What's your favorite?
I don't know. I thought I liked Geeks and you didn't like Geeks.
No, Geeks came around on me. I just think it's so stupid and ridiculous that I love it. It's like season 1 Chop.
I don't know.
You also like Geeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, Geeks for the both of us. Least favorite I think is Biters. It's just.
What about Roamers?
Okay, you know what? I'll give you Roamers. Roamers sucks. Okay, sorry. Back to the comic.
But yeah. What else? What else is kind of different?
Are characters any different, or are they kind of like the same core?
Pretty much the same. I do want to say like they did add a little bit more with Jim. I feel like Glenn mentions that he like is one of the only people that were in Atlanta that survived. That he makes it out because he literally watched like his entire family get eaten.
Good
like
for him.
Extended family, like his, like they say it. I think
Watched
it's
his
like
cousins.
literally his like his brother, his sister-in-law, like his nieces and nephews, like stuff like that.
Everybody.
Yeah, and so when he gets bit, during the like big attack, he kills the zombie that like that bit him and is like, you killed my family and all of that. And then he like kind of, when he's dying, he decides to stay behind and not get killed because he wants to like be able to find his family as a zombie. And I feel like that's kind of like a perspective that people don't put in the show.
Well, and I guess this maybe ties into my criticism of the lack of exploration of the themes of faith in the post-apocalypse. Like, they touch around the area a lot, but they never really, I don't know, dive head into being like, why would you have faith? Very clearly, there is no God in this universe. Why the fuck is there a zombie apocalypse that affects everyone to this degree? And I think like, because that's it. That would be an interesting allegory where it's like having a group of people that thinking like they don't want to turn, but they see turning as like going to heaven. Like that's their like afterlife, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Would be interesting. Does not happen. I know this. I've seen the series.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything else that's very much different. There's a lot of plot points that they just add to the show that aren't in the comic at all. Like the whole plot in Atlanta when they go. That just doesn't happen.
Is the comic more actiony, you think? Or like do you think it's because they would be like kind of boring to see a one-to-one recreation?
I don't know. I think maybe the comic was moving too quickly
Mm.
for what they wanted to do with the show. That they kind of want to extended it a lot more.
Yeah, like slow vibes.
Which I think kind of maybe wasn't the right
Do
decision.
you want to talk about the art style of the comic?
It grows on you.
It grows on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
At first, you're
I
kind of
might
like,
I
oh,
might
this is a
put up
little.
something. Oh my gosh, it's the grossest thing I've ever seen. Everyone
Is it Shane?
It's everyone. Everyone it to be fair, I like a stylized environment. But when you see it out of nowhere and you just see these people whose jaws, okay, I kid you not, are this long and of their face. Their faces are this big and it starts there. They got like everyone's a Giga Chad chin. And you're just like what is going on? It's super gory too, right?
Yeah. I will say we didn't mention how the walkers don't look like walkers.
Oh yeah,
They just look like people with makeup on, like for sure.
season
For sure.
1 is for sure the worst of. All right, just slap on some. Just get them looking a little green. You're good. Go.
I know I saw a few extras that didn't have anything on. They were just walking there.
There was that one TikTok where it's just like the guy drinking beer. I still find that so funny.
Um.
Do you want to move on to the things we like, or did you have anything else? Throw in real quick. Rapid fire.
Um.
Oh my gosh, you have so okay. You guys can kind of see it. She's like 3 full written out pages of notes
Yeah.
that I think was condensed. Okay, so things we liked. I'm gonna start with the characters. I liked Glenn. Sorry, count towards it. I liked Rick, even if he's a little bumbling. I like Morgan.
Same.
I liked Daryl sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say I agree with you. Did you say you like Rick?
Yes.
Okay. Making sure you put him.
That was the second person I said.
Yeah.
I said Glenn Rick.
I think Lori's okay. She's not great
She's just-
in the show.
Yeah.
She's a lot better in the
Comics. Yeah.
where she actually has opinions. Well,
She has a lot of opinions. She just has the wrong
not great,
opinions in
though.
the show.
And
She always agrees with Shane. That's the issue. She's always like, "Oh, Rick,
That's not true in the comics at all.
I totally understand where you're coming from, Rick, but have you thought about Shane though?" That's what she says every time. But then also it's funny because Shane will be like, "I know you agree with me," and then she's like, "I stand by my husband," even though she literally was just saying, "I think Shane's right" to her husband, which is great. I do love that.
They make it so confusing.
Yeah, they are very like. It's like, what do you even believe? Are you just anti-Shane? Like, what is going on?
I do want to say, for my differences that I didn't mention before, that the show ends with the CDC. The end of like the first chapter for the comics, Shane dies.
Which is the end of season 2.
Yeah, because Shane kind of believes that they need to stay near Atlanta so that they can get rescued quicker because he believes that like the military will come to bigger cities.
Yeah.
Which just isn't true because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, military is
It's
the government's
already been
fallen.
destroyed.
Yeah.
But
And why would they go to bigger cities? They would just assume that those cities are gone.
He just believes that, and Rick is really like set on they need to leave because at this point it's like December, so it's getting really cold, and they can't be just like outside camping with no
They
food,
need shelter,
no provisions, no nothing. And so they fight about that for a while, and that's kind of like the secondary plot point of the comics where they don't do that in the show, I feel like.
Yeah.
But they get into it a couple times, and when their fight kind of goes too far, like Carl shoots Shane. He kills him.
Yeah.
7-year-old little baby Carl has a gun.
That's why every single American, no matter your age, needs a gun in order to shoot Shane. It's the only reason you should have a gun.
And when he does it, it's kind of like it's a really poignant part, like for Carl, and he says they don't do this in the show. He says that it's different than killing the dead ones, which I feel like Carl doesn't care in the show at all. Like
Yeah,
he's like,
that's
I'll
true.
kill a person.
I'll fucking kill Lori.
I
Fuck
don't
it.
care.
Yeah.
Um,
I will say that is another interesting thing that I think maybe the comic does better too, where it's like there is like a sense of like desensitization, where it's like I killed 1,000 walkers in the past 5 days. I'm fine to kill a human, and it's like no, there should be a difference. But I feel like the way
Yeah.
the show handles it is like anyone who's anti-killing is just so fucking annoying. Because they're just constantly getting in the way, where it's like, look, sometimes, occasionally, one person dying is okay.
yeah.
Like, Shane, if Shane did not die there, he's causing the death of everyone in the group by making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Like, he was going to kill you. Like, you're okay to kill him this one time in self-defense. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, I sorry. Anything else from the comics really quick, or we can jump?
Um,
You want to go into things you liked, characters you liked?
what in the comics?
Well, either or. You can say both.
I don't know. In the comics, I like Dale. I think that he's cool.
Dale. Do you like Dale more in the comics than... I guess you
Yeah.
could talk about, like, characters you liked comparatively more. I don't like Dale. I don't like Dale in the,
Yeah,
in the
he's
show.
kind of just like extra nosy and kind of whatever. But in the comic, he just like he seems very observant and like
Sweet.
yeah, kind of like a secondary leader to Rick.
Yeah, that's not him at all.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah.
He's pretty okay.
Damn, we didn't even talk about Carol.
Yeah,
I guess
Carol's
it's
there.
true because she doesn't do anything. She becomes very important later on, but she's like so whatever this season.
Yeah, Carol doesn't really do anything in the comics.
Yeah. Well.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Right now, she's just sort of there.
Yeah.
She's with Lori, like they're friends.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of went over the characters. So setting, I think the setting's really interesting. I kind of like what they did with it. I like how, like, as I said, the cinematography. I like the shots, like how just the zombies do feel like an imposing mass, where it's like, how are you going to survive? Like, what is even the point sometimes? You just see, like, 1,000 people just walking around knowing that every single one of them is going to try to tear you apart and eat you. Like, you see outside the hospital, there's just rows and rows and rows of bodies.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, really kind of, like, hasn't set in yet for Rick. Like, he still has hope, but everyone else feels so beaten down. Like, and I don't even know how much further after it is, like, when he wakes up from his coma.
In the comics, they say it's been like a month.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it's just like, you're like, yeah, these people have been beaten. Like, this is, they...
Which means the apocalypse started in, like, November.
Yeah. Great time for that. I also like the use of music, especially in the first episode, but mostly due to, like, the lack of music. It lets you be, like, really personal and kind of, like, really project yourself onto Rick. You're like, yeah, what is going on? Like, there's nothing kind of to...
There's no musical cues.
Yeah, to, like, lay you in and be like, oh, no, I can be comfortable. This is a show. Like, take you out of the moment. It really, like, heightens, I think, the overall feeling. I think the plot is serviceable. I do think that, like, sometimes there's not enough happening, or, like, people are stupid.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I think Shane's argument, his main argument, where it's like, I don't know if we went into this as much, but like, oh, if you were here, we wouldn't have lost so many people. And Lori agrees with him. But it's like, yeah, but if he wasn't there, then you wouldn't have the guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it is important. It was important, in fact. Oh, I guess another thing is we didn't really talk about the cartel, but the cartel was a fake cartel, and it was actually just a bunch of orderlies at, like, an old people's home.
Yeah.
And they were just taking on the veneer, and I thought it was an interesting, like, examination of, like, if you think, like, people in the world are cruel and you act based on that belief, then you, in fact, cause the world to be cruel. Like, if they assume that Rick's going to try to, like, kill them and take all their stuff, and so they're like, oh, we have to act first. We have to be the aggressors first. But then Rick's like, okay, well, you aggressed first, so I have to do this. I now know that you're going to kidnap my men. Like, why would I not assume that you're, like, super hostile? Which I think is interesting. Ties a bit into labeling theory. Sociology. Okay. And now it's time. Bum-ba-dum. Things we didn't like. All right, characters. Shane sucks. I hate Shane. I feel like Shane exists almost exclusively to endear me to Rick. Like, I think I would have a lot more problems with Rick if it wasn't for Shane being everything I hate about Rick and
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
How's comic Shane? Even worse? Equally worse?
Yeah. I think he is just as bad. He doesn't have as much screen time.
Yeah, Shane's around for a minute.
Yeah. He has like a whole 2 seasons basically.
Yeah, and they're very
Whereas
him
he
focused.
just makes it in the first chapter
Yeah.
of the comic.
Too long in my opinion. Halfway through should be.
Yeah.
I feel like their friendships played up a lot, and you do kind of get how they would be friends.
Yeah.
Because like Shane's kind of a firecracker, and then Rick's kind of a little bland.
Yeah.
And so together, it's like, oh yeah, Rick would calm Shane down, and Shane would get Rick to like live a little and be fun. Even though the way, yet again, Shane riles him up is by being like a misogynistic piece of shit.
Yeah.
Where he keeps like calling the woman he's with, not his wife, just the woman he's with,
Yeah.
like a bitch, and keeps saying like, turn the lights off. What do you mean you won't turn the lights off?
Yeah.
You're telling me that you've been getting told to
craziest
turn your
setup.
lights off for your whole life and you won't turn the lights off? And then it's like, hey, Shane, why don't you just turn the lights off? Why does it have to be a whole thing with you every time?
Yeah.
Like, it's such an easy thing to do that I feel like it's just, you just want to feel power over somebody. Which is true to his character. So, good writing, but makes me hate him. So, you know, it's the conflict. We already talked about the zombies and the zombie actors. I feel like there's like a weird thing though in the show where they're not confident enough in the mystery and their ability to write it with the zombies. They're like, we have to explain a little bit why this happened. We have to explain what's going on scientifically or people won't care. Where I think if they would have kind of just let that rock, it would have been more interesting.
Yeah.
I also especially think with the like everyone's infected, which is what Jenner tells Rick, would have been better too if you just kind of waited.
Yeah.
Like for someone to just die naturally. Yeah, is that what happens in the comic? Like that's more interesting, and then that also happens in the game. We played the Telltale Walking Dead game, where I think it's also more interesting. Where you're like, oh, someone just dies, and they're like, why didn't you fucking tell us he was bit? And it's like he wasn't bit.
Yeah.
And so then that causes distrust within the group. It's just a more interesting secondary plot element. So yet again, I think that was kind of a little bit wasted this time. Yeah, so I mean that was things we didn't like. I don't really have any issues with the setting. I think that maybe they could have done more with it. Like it feels like very much so like they used one street in all of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And they used it twice. But I think that was probably just like a budgetary constraint.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna do our MVP list as well as our LVP lists. So MVP, who do you think is the MVP of the arc? And by MVP we mean most clutch, not necessarily person we like the most. I guess I don't know. I feel like person I like the most is Glenn, but I think it's between him and Rick for who's the most clutch.
Yeah. I think we're not mentioning Dale enough though.
I don't. What did Dale do?
He just has a bunch of stuff.
He doesn't do anything though.
I know he doesn't do anything, but he just has stuff that is helpful.
Yeah,
I'm
true.
just saying
I
he
guess
should be in the running.
I just don't think he.
Somewhere.
I think you know what, he can be in the nominations. He'll get the nod, but he will not be in serious contention.
That's fair.
Okay. I mean, do we put Lori up there? I don't know.
For what?
She was in a lot of decisions. I'm just saying, if Dale's getting the nod, I think Lori should get the nod.
I'm just saying Dale has the RV and bolt cutters.
Having the RV and bolt cutters does not make your character.
And flashlights and all the tools and
Alright,
everything
alright.
that they needed.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but that's not his, like, that's not an expression of his character. That's just stuff he has.
Yeah.
So I think, anyways, I'm giving it to Glenn. I think that Rick would have died in the tank without Glenn. I think that they all would have died on the roof without Glenn. They wouldn't have made it back without Glenn. And then the camp wouldn't have survived.
I literally said Glenn. And you said no Rick earlier.
No, I was just saying we need to have a contention. We need to have a group. All right, least valuable player. And this is person that we think contributed the least, or person that contributed the most negatively.
Merle.
I think Merle's up there. I think
T-Dog.
Carol. I think T-Dog's an interesting call. I think he made up for it. He came back. He had that sniper trained.
That's true.
He did something. Okay. He was not an exclusive, and he took Merle out of the group.
Yeah.
So if you view Merle as a negative, I think that's, yeah. Jim also did nothing and then got bit.
So did Amy.
True, but I'm just saying, like, comparative screen time, though. I think in my heart, Shane should be on this list, but he did do stuff.
He got Lori and Carl out.
It's true.
And
lied and told them that Rick was dead.
And he put all that stuff in front of Rick's room.
True. Well, all that stuff, he put exactly one
cot.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah. All that he took 5 seconds out of his life to help his friend in a coma. Good for him.
Listen, you have to put this.
Okay, we got to say definitively. So I was saying Carol though, because she did literally nothing.
Yeah.
Ed's got to be up there over Carol.
Yeah, he sucks.
All Ed did was beat Carol. That's by the way, yeah, and potentially his daughter.
Yeah.
I think I got to go Ed. Who you picking, Merle? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we picking the racist or the sexist? Well, Merle is racist and sexist, but very minimal screen time. Whereas Ed's there until he dies. So Merle comes back and he's a little bit of a changed man. He's kind of better. So I'm giving him that.
Okay.
But Ed is just.
But I'm just saying for season 1.
Yeah, Ed's a sexist, racist, and then dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Ed. And Carol has to kill him. So even in death, he's annoying, and making everybody else's lives harder. Okay, best villain. And villain, by best, it can be either most loved or most hated. Additionally, there's not like a central villain right now. It's kind of just surviving the walkers. In my opinion, it's Jenner. I think, I said this earlier, I think that Jenner sucks. Hate him because he let them come in to then get killed by a subnuclear bomb without telling them. I think if he told them, he's a hero. But he didn't tell them, so he basically lured them into a giant death trap after whining and dining them. So I think he's primo villain.
That's fair.
Merle's up there.
He's not really a villain. He's just sort of a guy.
Of the characters that exist, I wish you kind of would have just been like, zombie number 7. That guy fought that guy actually.
Yeah.
Okay, side characters. I think it's the leader of the old folks home.
I don't know his name.
Yeah, me neither. And I don't want to try to guess. I think he's my favorite side character. The fact that I don't know his name, unfortunate.
Yeah.
Jackie, maybe?
No.
As in she's not a side character, as in she's not your favorite? She knew that one thing about it going into the series.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess this is another thing to talk about, that the characters are very economically used in the sense that if you're important, you will get backstory, you will get meaning, you will get like XYZ. If you are not important, no one talks. Like Jackie, I swear, had like 15 lines in total. She was not doing a lot. Morales had like 5 lines. You have like your little bit, and then they're like, yeah, well, you're not important. We don't need to write more about you.
Yeah.
Okay. They're also, yeah. This is kind of like a general trend, but there isn't a lot of side characters, especially this season. They're very threadbare. Jim, you want to put Jim? You like Jim?
He's okay. He's just sort of there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's fair. Is there any difference in your list for the comic for MVP, LVP, best villain, best side character, favorite side character?
I think MVP has to be Rick.
In the comic, yeah.
He he just,
Popped off.
yeah,
Woke up fighting.
yeah, he helps everybody. And he like just takes the group into a better
Situation.
situation.
Yeah.
Side character.
Did you least valuable? I feel
Oh,
like you should
least
say Shane
valuable?
then, right? He's just actively harming the group
Yeah, yeah, probably Shane. Nobody else is really like
and traumatizes Carl.
doing what he's doing. Um, what was it? Side character? What side character I
Villains and
like?
side characters, but villain probably just Shane again.
Yeah, there isn't really any other villain this early on besides Shane.
hmm
And for side character, probably just Glenn because he's kind of the one who's had like the most
Would
character
you not call him a main
at the
character though?
beginning. No, I
Okay.
feel like Rick is kind of just the only main.
Oh, you're saying he's a central main character and everyone else's
Yeah.
side in the comic?
Yeah.
That's fair. Fair. Okay. And now we go to our overall ranking. So we can use out of 10 or we can use the ABC scale, the grading scale. I want to say, I will say that season 1, B minus.
Yeah.
I think that it's
I might even put it.
C plus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tiny bit lower.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just.
Well, do you want to explain your reasoning? I can explain my reasoning, or who goes first? Do you mean?
I don't know. You can go first.
Okay. I think that it starts off really strong. It's a really interesting premise, and I think that, especially now, like that, we're like, there's no zombie content, mostly because of like shows like The Walking Dead, and zombies became too big. But it's a really strong hook where you're just like, you really feel the fish out of water. You feel things going crazy, but then it just drags. It goes so slow. You're just like, oh, I just kind of wish the zombies would kill them. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's a really bad thing to be feeling in a show where you're supposed to be like, oh no, zombies, ah.
The pacing is not.
It's
Not
disastrous.
suspenseful.
It's
I don't
yeah.
feel worried about any of them.
Yeah, even though they die. You'll
Yeah.
have a bunch of people die and you're like, yeah, okay, well.
But in the comics, I feel like it's more impactful
Mhm.
every time that somebody dies and when it happens.
Oh yeah, did you want to give the
and how it
comic
affects people.
a rating? So you give B minus, C plus, and then what would you give for the comic?
Well, I don't have anything to compare it to because I've only read so far.
Well,
but
I'm saying like, if you're on a grading scale, what would you rate like the comparison? Would you say like B plus? B?
yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, that's our opinions on The Walking Dead season 1 and comic 1. We'll probably watch another season this week. Hopefully, it's better and is at least like high B. All right, babe, you want to say like and subscribe? Comment, like, and subscribe? No, it's cringe. It's cringe to say that. It's cringe to beg for viewers and money. Wow.
I don't know.
Turns out I'm cringe. All right. Well, see you next week.